Mushe Buriso and her children's struggle is perhaps proof that climate change hits the world's poorest people the hardest. She says she and her 8 children are waiting to receive humanitarian aid. The hot winds of El Niño generated over the Pacific Ocean, the effects of which scientists say are being made worse by global warming, have destroyed this year's harvest in parts of Ethiopia. The UN says there are 8.2 million people like Mushe who need emergency aid. It says that figure could rise to 15 million in coming months.
We have nothing this year. We have no plan. It's up to God. After the harvest failed, the men and children who are strong enough left to try and find work.
The Ethiopian government has allocated $192 million, but the UN says 600 million may be needed. International donors have been slow to respond. The UN says around 350,000 children are expected to require treatment for malnutrition. But Ethiopia has plenty of water. This is the worst drought to hit some areas of Ethiopia since the 1980s. But it's important to recognise that this country has vast water resources. This is Lake Zwe. Now, the surface area of that water covers around 440 square kilometres. The problem is the lack of irrigation infrastructure to get that water to some of the affected areas close by. Farmers lucky enough to be near the lake pump water from a stream into their fields.
It's difficult for us because the pump is so small and the pipes keep breaking.
There's virtually no irrigation infrastructure to get water from lakes and rivers to some of the remote areas hit hardest by the drought. Aid agencies say irrigation investment has been slow because projects such as drilling boreholes are so expensive. But the government says it's trying to get water to some of the worst affected areas.
We are trying to reach every farmer, giving them access to water for irrigation by using different methods such as rainwater harvesting. The government is investing heavily. Some of the projects are supported by donors.
Around 80% of Ethiopia's approximately 96 million people work in agriculture, and farming generates around 40% of the country's GDP. With such limited access to water, millions of people like Mushe can only hope that next year there's a lot more rain. Charles Stratford, Al Jazeera, Zwe.